What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Jeff back here with another episode of Project Zailas. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be going over another small yet very critical upgrade that you can do for your vehicle, any type of vehicle, doesn't matter what it is, sports car, truck, bus, it doesn't matter. It's an interior upgrade and it is a dash cam, and this is critically important because it's not just a cosmetic or a performance upgrade or anything, but this directly relates to your safety in your car, wherever you're driving, or in your vehicle I should say. And so it's probably one of the first things that you should do regardless in your car, just for your safety's sake, for being able to protect yourself in the event of an accident, or if you just want to capture something as you're driving along wherever you're going. A dash cam is absolutely critical. In the United States, it's not illegal to have a dash cam. It's perfectly legal, and I honestly think that that is a really good thing, because dash cams can just be a lifesaver when it comes to protecting yourself. As I said, when it comes to an accident or somebody jumping out in front of you or something like that, if you were ever to have to go to court and prove what really happened, having footage is absolutely vital. So having a dash cam is totally a great idea. There are many different types of dash cams on the market. There are high-end ones, middle of the road types, and then there's the lower end stuff. And really, obviously, what you're going to get with the higher end stuff is better resolution, higher feature set, better looking, better well designed, better built, better plastics, whatever, better lens. And as you get down, the quality scale will kind of drop with the price. Typically, there are some compromises that can be made. You can pay a little bit less to get a few fewer features, but the quality will still be high. Or you can just pay bottom of the barrel and just say, hey, at least I got a dash cam, even though the quality's not great, at least I'll have something recorded. So if budget is definitely a thing for you, then having a dash cam, even if it's a lower quality one, is better than not having a dash cam. So even if you can't afford a really high-end one, I definitely suggest getting a lower-end one. However, if you can afford it, I definitely suggest at least getting a middle-of-the-road one, something that has decent day and night recording capability, and something that's easy to work with. You don't need all the features in the book. Some of these dash cams have ridiculous features. They're some of them are wireless. You can hook them up to your phone so you can see the footage recording directly on your phone, and various other advanced features, while others don't have any of that, and all they do is simply record. For me, typically, I don't need the most advanced stuff in the world. I don't need to be able to see it on my phone. I don't need the most expensive thing in the world. I don't need it to look like it came from NASA. My criteria was just that it had HD day and night recording capability. Didn't break the bank. Didn't have to be the cheapest thing in the world, but I didn't want to have to be going and spending $200 and $300 and $400 on a dash cam. And I wanted it to be fairly discreet and not look like a major eyesore sitting on the inside of my car here, or from the outside looking in. I wanted it to be pretty discreet, clean looking, generally well made. And so I did a lot of research on a lot of different dash cams, and I almost jumped on a few of them that I wanted, but the price was just a little bit higher than what I wanted to pay. I wanted to pay somewhere within the $100, $150 range. I didn't want to go over that. They do get higher than that, and they do get considerably lower than that. You can get dash cams for $20, $30, believe it or not. But what I decided on, after all the different cameras that I watched, that I looked at and watched reviews of, was the Viofo A119, and that's this camera right here. This can be considered a middle of the road, a middle to high-end camera. This costs $100. I got it for $100 on Amazon. Plus it has a little GPS hookup that I'll explain in just a minute, that you can pay extra for. I went ahead and got the bundle with it, and I believe it was like $110 or something shipped. So the reason I chose this camera is because, number one, the price was decent. It was within the range that I wanted to pay, and it has just your basic feature set. Doesn't have all the features in the world. It has great recording capability, full 1080p, or 2K or 1080p, so you can go all the way up to 2560 by 1440 at 30 FPS, or you can drop it down to 1920 and get the 60 FPS if that's what you want to do. If you prefer the higher frame rate, then that's definitely an option with this camera, which I really appreciate. I definitely am more of a higher resolution guy than a frame rate. I don't mind 30 FPS, but this gives you the option for both, which is awesome. And after watching many tests of recording footage in different scenarios, this camera to me was just the most solid throughout every different recording scenario. It had the best picture to it, day and night, and for the price, I just thought it can't be beat. It's a capacitor dash cam, which is really nice, especially for California where I live. This gets super hot here, especially in the summer, and the sunlight comes down and it gets very, very hot on a windshield. And if you have a battery powered dash cam, then batteries will tend to expand and get bigger under heat, and that can not only damage the battery, but it will damage your dash cam itself. So the capacitor dash cam, on the other hand, is actually powered by your car's battery. It will plug right into your cigarette lighter. It actually comes with a little cigarette lighter with USB ports, so you can plug that in there, and it will be powered by your car's battery. So you don't need to worry about heat coming in and frying your dash cam and frying your battery. So what I recommend is a capacitor dash cam, especially if you live somewhere where it's constantly hot, and one that has loop recording. This has both of those. Like I said, the feature set isn't crazy. It doesn't have Wi-Fi or anything like that, but it does have a GPS add-on that I mentioned earlier that you can add on there that will provide GPS tags in your recording footage. That doesn't mean that it's a GPS system. You can't use it to give you directions to go to the mall or whatever, but it will record, put in your recordings exactly where you're at, the GPS coordinates, and also it will record your speed that you're going. It's just basically, it's not required, but it's extra information that you can use in the case of having to present this as evidence, to show this is how fast I was going at this time, this is exactly where I was, so that if the case ever arose where you needed to have every bit of information to defend yourself, the GPS is an optional thing that you can put on there, and it's just like an extra $10. It's not a crazy thing. I would definitely recommend it for anybody that's getting this system, just to have the extra information, but it's not required. You don't need to have that. It does have a lane. If you're diverting from your lane, it has an option where it will beep at you unless you know you're coming out of your lane. That's something that I don't need, so I turn that off. It has excellent recording capabilities. I've had the camera in my car for about a month now, and have not had any issues with it whatsoever. I haven't had any strange errors with the memory card or anything like that. As far as the memory card goes, I'm using a Transcend high endurance 64 gig card. This is a card specifically made for dash cams, and that is or cameras that use loop recording or are constantly writing and rewriting information on the card. If you use a standard card that's not designed with high endurance in mind, it's going to burn through the card pretty quick, and over time memory cards will die as it continues to write and rewrite over information on the card. So you definitely want to make sure you get a high endurance card. This 64 gig Transcend card costs about $45 on Amazon, so a little bit of a higher end card, but you definitely don't want to go cheap on your memory card. If anything, spend a little extra, get a little bit more of a higher quality card, and get a 64 gig high endurance card. That's going to prevent you from having to go back and buy cards over and over and over again, and potentially losing data if your card ever becomes corrupt or you can't get information off of it. Definitely the way to go. Protect yourself, get a higher end card. Now, I mentioned auto looping recording, and what that means basically is that as the dash cam records footage, you can set it to record in 3, 6, or I believe 9-minute increments. It will continue to record in those increments that you set, and when it fills up the entire card, it will actually start over back at the beginning and start overwriting the footage that you recorded at the beginning of the card. That's called auto loop recording. And most dash cams will have this feature, some of them don't, and I would avoid getting the ones that don't, because it's, you don't want to have to keep on formatting your card every time it gets full and gives you a card full warning, and you have to go in and delete old footage. Get one that has loop recording at the very least. But anyways, this definitely has loop recording, so it automatically will take care of it for you. Another very nice feature of this camera is that it operates on an auto start system. So once you have it plugged into your power source, turn the car on, it will automatically come on as soon as it registers the ignition turning on, which is awesome. You don't have to worry about going up and hitting the power button every time you get in your car to take a drive. It will automatically start and automatically start recording for you. So it's really almost a hands-free device. Unless you need to take a snapshot or something like that, you can reach up and hit the button to take a snapshot. It also records audio, obviously, if you want it to. It's not the greatest at audio. It's sufficient. It does the job. It will definitely pick up in-cabin chatting or anything like that. If you want to save a conversation, you can just click to turn the audio on and have it record the audio. I tend to leave the audio off. I don't need audio most of the time. Video is sufficient for what it is. If I do want to record something, then it's just a click of a button and we'll switch the audio on and start capturing it. And as I said, it's very sufficient. But don't expect like really high quality audio coming from this thing. That's not its purpose in general, and you know, it's not going to be amazing, but it is sufficient. Aside from that, it's just a basic feature set. It is what it is. Really, you get a good value for what you pay for it. You get great recording footage, like I said, and that is really the main thing with the Dashcam. As for placement of the Dashcam, you can see it's quite discreet. It's not overly big or anything like that. It's definitely small enough to stay out of your field of view. If this is my typical driving field of view, it's not going to be right in my face or anything like that. Of course, you can put it anywhere you want. It comes with an adhesive backing here, so you can attach it with the adhesive. It's not a suction cup mount. It's a 3M double-side tape style adhesive. That is either going to be on the back of the GPS device here or directly on the back of the device itself if you don't have the GPS add-on. Now it has a power cord that's attached to the back, either to the back of the GPS device or through to the side, on this side over here of the device if you don't have the GPS again. And the cord is definitely long enough to do pretty much any position you want. They give you a very generous amount of cable. What I ended up doing is just going and routing it up through the top of my headliner here, and it's all tucked back in through here, and then it goes through the side of the pillar, inside the pillar, and then it comes down to right there in the corner, and then it's just down here, and then on the Z there's a cigarette lighter right down here. You can't really see it, sorry, it's pretty dark, but it just goes all the way down, and then it's tucked up underneath and attaches into there. So very discreet, very clean. You're not going to see wires and stuff hanging down. Of course, you can choose to do this any way you want. You can mount it higher, lower, or whatever you want to do. One thing I will point out is that you can slide this off of the GPS mount. You can slide the device off if you need to take it off to change settings or whatever. Just like that. So it will come off. The device itself is very simple in design. It only has just about 5 buttons on the front, and then on this side here is where your card is going to go. And then on this side is where your AV and your charging USB cable, or your power cable that is, goes in right there. 2-inch screen, color screen obviously, and then this is where either your GPS device hooks in or the standard back. If you don't have the GPS version, it will come with a standard back with the 3M tape on there. The lens itself is pretty darn high quality. I like the recording quality of it quite a bit. I'm not sure what the megapixels are or anything like that exactly, but it's quite good. It has a lot of range of movement. It can move up and down like so, and it can also move horizontally left and right like this. So you have a lot of option when it comes to where your camera is facing and where it's recording. You really can't, if you can't find a place for it to sit where you like it, then you probably just have it on your windshield in the wrong place, because this gives you pretty much every possible recording angle that you could want, which is another great feature that I love about this camera. It has, not a crazy amount of features, but it has everything you need to get a good, solid, hard-working dash cam that does the job and records good footage. So simple, discreet design. It fits in my palm just about like that big. So it's not an eyesore by any stretch, and you can really mount it anywhere you want. Just make sure you don't mount it so high that you can't slide that up off the mount. And I have it mounted just kind of below, it's probably about 4 inches or so below my headliner, and it's behind my mirror here, so I can see it there. If I need to reach up and capture, turn the audio off or on, or capture a still image, I can just hit the button right up there, no problem, and then I can just slide it off if I need to make other changes. You will also see the screen on here while it's recording. I didn't want to have that constantly in my eye, which is kind of why I put it behind my mirror there, so I don't see that screen all the time. Otherwise my eye tends to get a little sore there on the side. So I hit it behind there. From the outside it looks good too. It blends in really nicely. The dots here, the anti-glare dots that come on most windshields from the factory, serve as a nice little blending, kind of a blending background. If you stick it up onto those dots right there, it will disguise the double-sided tape so it won't look too messy on the outside of the glass. So I went ahead and stuck it onto the dots themselves, but make sure that you have the lens below the dots here so that it's not, the dots aren't in front of the camera, otherwise you're not going to get a good image at all. So that's where I have it on my Z. Again, you can put it anywhere you want, anywhere that you like. Test a few spots before you stick it on there and see what works best for you. And yeah, that just seems to be what works best for me. Now, as we turn the ignition on here, you will see the camera will automatically turn on. It will greet you with a little beep, or a little tone I should say. There it is. The screen will come on and it will automatically start recording. You can see, I hope you can see anyways, this little red dot right here that indicates that it is recording at this point. And you can see the screen here, so if you need to adjust the lens, again, you have full range of motion with your lens, so just get it right where you like it. And then that will give you a really good idea of what it's going to look like when you pull it off of the card. So if you need to access settings on this thing, you will first need to stop it from recording. So you're going to hit the record button to stop it from recording. It will start blinking like that, letting you know that it's going to stop the recording. And then you can hit the menu button to access your menu settings. And as I said before, this doesn't have the crazy amount of settings, but it has everything you need. It's got exposure, WDR, loop recording settings, resolution size settings, time-lapse record, motion detection, GPS settings, speed units if you want to do kilometers per hour or miles per hour, a G sensor, which basically takes a snapshot if it senses a movement above a certain G amount, LDWS, FCWS, date stamp, GPS info stamp, audio recording options, screensaver, LED, date and time, language, time zone, you know, so the basic settings, and it does everything well. One thing that it does have is a format warning option. If you want, you can set it to warn you to format every 30, 60, or 10, 30, or 60 days, and that's really recommended for Dashcam or high endurance cards that are constantly being recorded and re-recorded, is that you format it every couple of months or so, or 60 days. That's just a good practice in general, just to keep your card nice and healthy. So you can actually set this to automatically remind you that it's due for formatting. I have mine set on 60 days, so it will beep at me and let me know that it's time to format my card. My memory tends to go sometimes on stuff like that, so it's just a nice little reminder, but you can turn it off if you don't want it to do that. It's no problem. You can also format the card directly through the device right here. You don't have to put it in your PC to do that. You can default all settings if you want, customize the text, and check the version number. So it's just a basic feature set, but it definitely gets the job done. It has everything that you need. You know, you can just hit the, it will automatically start recording again once you come out of the menu. So it's right on top of recording for you. It wants to catch everything that you need. And it's just a nice, it's not too bright. The screen isn't too bright or anything, but I do just hide it behind my mirror just like that as I'm driving, so it's not in my face, like I said. But where you put it is up to you. You know, if you like to see the screen, then put it a little lower or put it a little more to the side. You know, just as long as it doesn't impair your visibility while you're driving, it's totally up to you. But anyways, that's just a basic overview of the Viofo A119. I will put up some footage of both day and night driving so you guys can get an idea of what to expect with this. As I said, you can mess around with the different options for resolutions. You can go really high resolution with a little lower FPS, or higher FPS, a little lower resolution. But I found that pretty much every setting works really well. There wasn't, I even dropped it down to the 720, 120 FPS, and it's still pretty darn good resolution. Like it's acceptable, absolutely. So play around with it, find the one that you like. Currently I'm recording 2K at 30 FPS, works great for me. Like I said, I'm a resolution guy, so definitely am liking the quality of that. So I'll put up some samples so you guys can see and determine for yourselves if this may be the webcam, or not the webcam, but the dash cam for you. 150 bucks, that was the device itself and the card, so definitely a small price to pay for the amount of money that you could save with one of these in your car. I mean, it could be thousands of dollars that this device could save you for the price of $150. In my opinion, that is just, you can't beat that. So highly suggest this, regardless of what kind of car you have. Get yourself a dash cam. It took me 10 minutes to get it all set up, 10 minutes to mess around with the settings, get the wire all wired up through my car, and then plugged in, and that's it. It doesn't take a lot. Anybody can figure out how to get this thing up and running, and then from there it's pretty much just plug and play. It will automatically take care of everything for you. If you never wanted to touch this thing after you installed it, you don't have to. You know, if you get the settings where you like them, and then, you know, just every 60 days you format your card and you just drove and drove and drove until, you know, God forbid an accident or something happened where you'd actually need to interact with this thing. You can, like I said, you can hit a button to take a snapshot if you're driving by a beautiful area or something like that. If you wanted, you can just hit it to take a snapshot, and it will automatically freeze that, take a picture of it, and then lock it in a separate folder. Also, if you do get into an accident or something happens, that GPS sensor will detect that, and then it will lock a certain amount of time, I think about 30 seconds before and 30 seconds after. It will lock that footage, put it in a separate folder, so it will not be overwritten. So you don't need to worry about it automatically recording over an accident. You know, it will lock that footage. It has that feature automatically. So if you didn't want to touch this thing again at all after you installed it, you really don't have to, unless you absolutely wanted to. Like I said, I've had this in my car for about a month and I've barely touched the thing. I mean, I've taken the card out to get some files on my computer, and that's about it. But other than that, it takes care of everything for you. So if you don't have one of these in your car already, I highly suggest picking one up, get it installed really quickly, and then enjoy the feeling of safety that you have driving with a dash cam in your car. And who knows, you may just pick up something that's hella funny as you're driving. You know, you see all these Russian dash cam videos and all the funny videos that you see on there. You see all kinds of weird stuff as you're driving. So if not for the safety reasons, pick it up just because who knows what you're going to see out there. I see some hella funny stuff sometimes, and also road ragers and stuff like that. Just, you know, it's a good old time. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Again, it's the Viofo A119 that I picked up, 150 bucks, great value, highly recommend it. Check out the footage for yourself and determine if this is going to be the one for you. There's other cameras that are great too out there, so get the one that works best for you, but get one. That's the bottom line. Sorry about the video quality here, it's a little darker. I got to making the video a little later than I anticipated, but thanks for joining me this time. Stay tuned to the channel, subscribe if you haven't already. I've got more stuff coming soon. Appreciate the support that you guys are giving me. You know, I know that this channel is still in its growth phases, so please forgive, you know, as I'm getting used to making more videos, more mainstream, stuff like that. Hope you'll come back for the next one. Talk to you later. Peace.